I don't know whether it's helpful or others agree with me, but if you're going to get mold in any room, it's better to have it in the bathroom because it's relatively easy to wash away from a bathroom, much more so than say behind curtains or in the corners around windows. But obviously it's very annoying, and there's a lot of mold in this property right in the center of the party wall in the bathroom. And the concern was that the water was coming from the neighbour's side of the property. It seemed to appear around the time that a new bathroom was put onto the neighbour's side. And we'll have a look at it. But what you'll see here is not only is the mould, so this mould was growing behind a large mirror, pretty much in line with where the mirror was. You can also see dribble marks. Now, dribble marks are a sign of condensation. There is some brown staining, and so there's the dribble marks. When we look on the other side of this wall, we see that there's brown staining on the other side of the wall. Now, brown staining typically comes from a leak or penetrating damp. It's because water that's passing through building material, through a wall, or even more so through timber, will leach out the colour, the pigmentation, and cause the brown staining. In this case, there is water pipes. There are water pipes running down within the timber boxing by the door, and that's what's causing the water staining. It's not actually a leak, but we'll see that in a second. So looking through a thermal imaging camera, it's actually relatively warm outside. It's late September and you can't see much heat differential between the inside and the outside, so not much is showing up in the thermal imaging camera. Certainly we're not finding a particularly cold zone right in the center of that wall where you've got the mold. I should mention that mold only grows where relative humidity goes above 85% for long periods of time. When you have a mirror trapping vapor, the glass can retain low temperature for longer, so that when you're actually having the shower, you can end up having high levels of humidity trapped against the wall because of the cold of the glass and the lack of airflow. And that's what's causing or exacerbating the vapor is actually the mirror, and probably there's a gap behind it, and some insulation behind the mirror would solve the problems quite easily and quickly. So looking on the neighbour side, they have a shower immediately opposite where the damp issue is, but actually, funnily enough, it's more central to this room rather than exactly behind the shower. And there were no gaps or cracks. The shower was installed only about a year or so ago, maybe 2 years ago, but there are no gaps or cracks in the tiling. And actually, I understand the head of the shower is rarely used. It's more the lower section. I did use a protrimeter damp meter. I tend to use it when there's a potential for some disagreement between neighbours, but I don't think there was in this case. There are highish levels of dampness at the top of this wall, but I don't think they were coming from this side of the bathroom. At least this side of the party wall looked to be in better, at least drier than the other side of the party wall. You're always going to get some moisture in bathrooms, that's inevitable. So looking above, this is looking above in the loft above the neighbour side, so actually on the right hand side. There's a bit of insulation missing there, which obviously should be fitted in place, loft insulation, but no source of water, no obvious signs of past dampness. if you're looking between the two properties from the rear, there is a chimney breast which can cause areas of heat loss, perhaps slightly exacerbating the problem, but I don't think it's relevant to this particular survey because the dampness wasn't specifically where the old chimney breast was. There's a difference in render, so there's a theoretical increased risk of penetrating damp, but again, that wasn't the dampness internal to this bathroom wasn't caused by penetrating damp. Or should I say, there wasn't more dampness on the external wall than on the internal wall. So up on the loft, we see on the damp wall side, here's the pipe work that's going down between the two, between the bathroom and the hallway, the stair area, the landing, I think they call it. And here the pipes, and I opened the pipes up, and although there wasn't any particular sign of condensation, they will cause condensation. So down in the kitchen to this property, so this one had condensation up on the sides of the wall. It's a particular area of vulnerability in kitchens, and this bathroom in this property didn't have an externally ducted extractor fan. I found that the extractor fan had been off, so obviously that's not a great thing. I got it working, and I found that it was running at about half of what it should be running at. It'd just been clogged up with dust. So I extended the timer on the extractor fan to 30 minutes, and I removed the dust, and you'll see I was able to get it to about 16 litres a second. It needs to be 15 or more, and so we achieved that. So looking at the data loggers, we can see that the internal dew point is the thing that you want to focus on, and bring that down below the outside temperature at all times. Have a look at the data loggers. So use damp.ai/detect to upload your data from the data loggers. You just put the files in here and then select the two that you want to compare. In this case, we're going to compare, or we're going to start with the landing data and then compare it to the bathroom. Temperature at the time was 17 degrees centigrade. This produces this graph, and from that graph you can tell what is happening over time. So the surface relative humidity is this green line. Your internal temperature is this line. The external temperature is the sort of light red pink line. The outside dew point, now this is the critical line. This tells you how much vapor is in air. This is the internal dew point, this blue line. The outside dew point is this light blue line. In a perfectly ventilated property where you're replacing internal air constantly with outside air, then this will drop down to the external dew point, because you'll have the internal air with the internal dew point will replace with the external air with the external dew point, and it can never be above the outside temperature, because otherwise it would rain, and in fact times when it is close to it is probably because it's raining outside. This is the dew point differential line. Above the line tells you that there's more vapor in the by the damp wall in that area compared to in this case the bathroom. You'll see it's pretty steady most of the time, which tells me that the door's been left open a lot, and this would be during times when you've got using the shower, and you can see it's very rapidly being removed and influencing the outside. During this period, something different occurred. I think probably the bathroom door was kept closed that time, and see the internal dew point goes down, which is great. And then conversely, maybe there was kitchen was being used quite a lot, or drying clothes internally. It's difficult to know exactly, but then the dew point goes back up again. So there's clearly influence from the rest of the property, not just from the bathroom, but the bathroom is going to be critical to solving this damp issue. Use this to see how you're improving ventilation in the future, and always try and keep the internal dew point below the outside temperature. So in summary, we have issues with mould. Mould only grows where relative humidity goes above 85% for long periods of time. It results from excess vapor. It's very common in bathrooms, and you need to use anti-mold spray regularly. It's a big problem behind mirrors because the mirror will retain low temperatures longer than the air. The vapor will get in behind through diffusion like smoke, but you won't get any, or you get lots of heat loss, which pushes the relative humidity up and keeps the humid air up against the wall for long times. We know that there's an issue of condensation there because the dribble marks. It's causing calcium sulfate salts to crystallize behind the paint. They're benign. That's not a problem. I would actually probably simply put insulation behind the mirror. You can use wood fiber, very inexpensive, used for underlay underneath flooring. Keep the extractor fan running for half an hour, door closed, fan on as much as you can do, and it will take 6 to 9 months for the wall to dry out, but I don't think you'll see mould in that time, at least no more so than most bathrooms. Just keep using anti-mold spray regularly. Check it weekly, I would do. And on the brown staining, I think that will disappear over time, but you'll need to use anti or stain block like Zinza 123 in the first instance.